This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
Pennsylvania is a pretty important state in the upcoming election. There's a lot of people saying that Pennsylvania may decide the whole thing. But a lot of people are asking, especially a lot of Trump supporters. See, it's interesting how things have sort of shifted over the last 20 to 24 years. In the aftermath of the year 2000, you had a lot of Democrats thinking the Republicans had stolen the election. In 2004, especially in states like Ohio, when the voting data didn't exactly match where the exit polls were, you had a situation where a lot of Democrats felt like the Republicans were stealing the election. In fact, I spoke, a few months ago with a gentleman who claimed that he had a conversation with John F. Kerry in the aftermath of that, that 2004 election. And the writer said to John F. Kerry, said, you won that election. This is Dick Russell. Dick Russell told this to me on the air. And Kerry told Dick Russell, oh, I know. So at least privately, even Kerry believed that the election had been stolen from him. But it's an interesting thing. In the aftermath of 2020, and certainly going into 2024, there's no doubt that the side of the aisle that is most concerned about the possibility of an election being stolen is the Trump side of the aisle. And Dr. Jerome Corsi, who is certainly no stranger to controversy, is now warning that cryptographic algorithms are potentially designed to steal the 2024 election. He is a Harvard-trained political scientist. He has written more books than I've even read, and he is always outspoken and always controversial. Dr. Jerome Corsi, it's great to have you back on the program.
It's great to be back with you. Thank you very much.
It's great. So before we delve into the details here, give us the broad strokes. What is a cryptographic algorithm, and how might this potentially result in a stolen election this year?
Well, it's a secret code. It's really almost like an intelligence operation where you put in a code into the data. And what the code allows you to do is to create voters that don't exist. And they look like they're regular voters. In fact, they get voter IDs from the state, and they can be used in a mail-in ballot scheme where whoever is running this cryptographic scheme, and it's often unknown even to the State Board of Election, but it's in the State Board of Election database, they can pull out these non-voters and the non-existent people, and they can use them to get a mail-in ballot. And because the person has a legitimate voter ID, it looks like that's a real vote. But in fact, there's no person there. And in some states like New York, there are 200,000 or 300,000 of these false voters.
Well, in New York, and obviously I'm a New Yorker and have a lot of experience in New York politics, so that happens to be the state that I'm most familiar with, but I imagine other states around the country have something similar. In New York, all the Board of Elections, every county in the state is administered jointly by partisan appointees by both the Democrats and Republicans. If there was some sort of cryptographic algorithmic scheme to, steal votes to benefit, say, Vice President Harris, wouldn't the Republicans that are counting all the votes along with the Democrats do something to stop it?
Well, they may not know, because this occurs in the mail-in ballot fraud. I mean, this is the creating a mail-in ballot and with a legitimate ID, voter ID in the state, but it's not a real person. How would you know? It looks real. It was created in the scheme, in the algorithmic scheme, whoever created this are able to falsify voters that look like they're real, but they're not real people. And then, unless you went out and did a canvass, unless you went out to the community and saw there was a voter there, you wouldn't know that was a non-existent person. That's the problem with this. And the algorithms are in New York, New Jersey, they're in Ohio. We found them in Wisconsin. We found them in Pennsylvania. We're in the report. We found them in New Jersey, and then Arizona and Texas.
Wow. Well,
it looks like they're everywhere. It looks like they've algorithms in all these different states.
It's pretty serious. I mean, the claim that cryptographic algorithms might be embedded in voter databases in order to facilitate election fraud. And I don't know that I've heard this anywhere else before. So these are very serious allegations. Can you walk us through the specific evidence that led you to this conclusion, and why should Americans trust your findings over the assessment of election security experts who say there is no widespread voter fraud?
Well, the algorithms are mathematical formulas that determine how the voter IDs are assigned. And once the algorithms are found, it's like the Pythagorean theorem. I mean, you can say, I don't like Euclidean geometry, but the Pythagorean theorem is a fact. And so the algorithms can be demonstrated. What the key to the whole fraud is that the voter IDs are no longer assigned according to the date you register. So these states are able to then have basically intelligence agents enter the database and say, well, here's a mathematical scheme according to which we're going to assign the numbers. And this permits them to create false data, false records, and insert them in the data that look like they're real. It's an ingenious scheme. I mean, it's like saying, everybody knows who their first child was, and their second child, and third child. Here, another state says, no, your number one child is number 1, your number 2 child is 12, and your number 3 child is 23. They add 11 between each record, and they put other people's children in between. And they say record number 3 and number 7 aren't real children. We made them up, and that's how it's done.
You've indicated that the mainstream media hasn't reported on this issue, which is absolutely true. How do you respond to critics who might argue that the reason this hasn't been covered widely is because there's no verifiable basis for your claims? Are you suggesting that both the media and the election officials across multiple states could be part of a potential cover-up?
Well, I think that it's, first of all, pretty shocking to think that the voter IDs are assigned in these states by mathematical formula. And the mathematical formula permits you to create false records that look like real records that you can then hide back in the database. It's like a card marking scheme. You basically shuffle a deck of cards, and then you put your false cards, the cards that you've marked, into the database, and they don't look like they're there. And then you deal the marked cards when you want to. It's a scheme. The mathematics are clear. And if you take a look at our website, which is God's 5 Stones, that's GODS, no apostrophe, FIVE, you spell it out, stones plural, gods5stones.com. You can read Andrew Paquette's papers. He's a PhD with a degree in computer science, and he's found these algorithms, and they're mathematical formulas that are really there. You can't dispute the formulas once they've been found. We can show you the mathematics.
That's gods5stones.com. As I alluded to, there was a time when Democrats used to be much more concerned with the integrity of elections than Republicans now seem to be. Given that election integrity has been a crucial concern for both parties, have you shared your findings with any nonpartisan election security experts? And if you have, what was their assessment about what you're claiming?
Well, we've shown it to many crypto and people who are experienced and professionals in doing cryptography. And once you've seen the algorithms, the professionals agree they're there. I think the difference between 2004 and today is that this is a mail-in ballot scheme. Without mail-in ballots, the way they're done today, the scheme wouldn't make any sense. So the fact that we have so many mail-in ballots allows for all these records to be created in the database that are clones, double, triple. Some people they create sometimes 10 or 20 or 30 registrations for a person. They also have ghost registrations, which are not a real person. And these are their marked cards, which they can then pull out and vote as mail-in ballots at will. When you've got 10, 20, 30, or 40,000 of these, you can swing an election. So therefore, the mail-in ballot scheme has made the cryptography viable, and it is really there. And we're finding it in every state we look at right now.
I'm Cindy Lauper with fellow Cosentix advocate, Chef Michelle Bernstein.
We'll share our experiences with plaque psoriasis, with psoriatic arthritis, and Dr. Panico will talk about the possible connection.
Cosentix secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur.
Learn more at 1-844-COSENTIX or Cosentix.com/Cindy.
Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
Feel like you're stuck in career limbo? Clock in, clock out, repeat. No growth, no new opportunities. It's time to break out and break into tech. With CBT Nuggets, you can start building the IT skills that companies are hiring for right now. We make training fast, simple, and practical. From networking to cybersecurity, you'll get short, easy-to-watch videos and hands-on virtual labs so you can build real-world skills without expensive gear or complicated setups. For just $59 a month, you get unlimited access to our full training library. That includes certifications, skill-based learning, and practice exams, a $100 value included free. Learn anytime, anywhere, and get job ready on your terms. Thousands have used CBT Nuggets to launch new careers, and you can too. Right now, CBT Nuggets is offering a free trial. Easily find the training you need and test it out with no commitment. Start your 7-day free trial now at cbtnuggets.com. Don't wait. A better job is just a few clicks away.
If your brain is at full capacity with to-dos, birthdays, and dinner plans, meet Skylight Calendar. It syncs your entire family's schedule onto a sleek digital display, so you focus on important things like where you left your coffee. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/talk. Go to skylightcal.com/talk for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/talk.
So you cite these cryptographic algorithms used to manipulate data. Election officials have repeatedly stated that voting databases are highly secure, and I understand what you're saying, that they just may not be aware of these algorithms. How do you explain the fact that no official investigation outside of Ohio's inquiry, which I know you've written about and you're very familiar with, has confirmed the presence of these algorithms, and you're saying that they're present everywhere?
Well, I think that it's new to election officials. They were unaware that this had happened. Some of these algorithms have been present in the databases since 2007, or maybe some of them even to 2004. I think it started after the Help America's Vote Act in 2002, which required the states create the voter ID, not the counties. And so once you remove the date of registration as the determining factor of your voter ID, you can shuffle the deck. You can have an algorithm decide how the voters are assigned their order. And that's perfect for allowing you to create false records that are slipped in between the real records. Once you see the mathematics of it, and Paquette has laid out the mathematics. If you go to gods5stones.com and read these papers, they're complex, but the algorithms are clearly there, and you see the mathematics. It's hard to deny the reality of the mathematics.
I'm going to ask this question with all due respect, and don't take it at all the wrong way. And you know how much I've enjoyed interviewing you over the years. But when I was promoting your appearance, both Republicans and Democrats that were aware of some of the other things that you've been involved in said, oh, why should we believe Dr. Corsi? He's got no credibility. You have had a long history in political circles of making some controversial claims, including some past allegations that didn't exactly pan out, like the Obama birth certificate controversy. Given this track record, how do you assure the public that this latest claim about voter fraud algorithms is grounded in credible, verifiable research rather than just being what some people might say is another conspiracy theory?
Well, most of the conspiracy theories I've argued have been true. So with the birth certificate, Sheriff Arpaio, we actually found the birth certificate from which Obama's was copied. And Sheriff Arpaio did a 4-year investigation. He reported an international examination. They sent it to forensic labs around the world. We found the birth certificate from which Obama's was copied. And I'm going to have to publish that again. Mainstream media didn't want to cover it because they're covering up for Obama. And they continue to. But the fact is, we did find the birth certificate from which Obama's was copied. In fact, it was just in the past couple of days, somebody who saw it for the first time and was reporting as if they had never seen it before, how bizarre Obama's birth certificate released by the White House is.
So you still don't buy the Obama birth certificate being genuine, the one that he released?
It's not genuine. It's completely fake. And
no, I know. For instance, I don't want to go through everything that you've ever claimed because that's not fair to you, and we don't have the time to do it. But the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth and John F. Kerry in 2004, there were men whose lives were saved by Kerry, including Jim Glassman, who had been a lifelong Republican, who came out and said that what you and the other people that wrote that book said in that book wasn't true. Would you take that back?
Well, not at all, because we had a whole group of Swift Boat veterans that said just the opposite. Said that John Kerry earned these 3 Purple Hearts that were all fraudulent. He was over there showboating, that he didn't save lives, he endangered lives. In fact, the Swift Boat veterans got together and asked John Kerry to leave Vietnam. They thought that he was endangering their lives by his recklessness. He took a photo camera over there, was photographing himself as if this was a movie. He was running for president. And again, the Swift Boat veterans all documented that the claims made in the Unfit for Command were true. So we had a large group of Swift Boat veterans that supported what we said in that book.
A lot of I don't want to get off the beaten path with what we're talking about here, which is something that a lot of folks are concerned about, which is the integrity of elections. A fundamental part of your theory and the work that Dr. Paquette has done here involves algorithms creating ghost voters or clone records to commit fraud. Can you point to any specific instance in which one of these so-called ghost voters actually cast a fraudulent vote? And if so, why haven't there been arrests or prosecutions related to this?
Well, if you read Dr. Paquette's paper on New York, he goes through and lists, they have a pretty good file in terms of when people voted. And we list in that multiple instances where people voted 2-3 times in the 2020 election. And the record says that. It voted here, voted there, voted early. So there are many records that show voters in New York voted multiple times. This was part of the scheme. Those voters may not have even existed, may not have even been real people. Again, a lot of these cases, the records that are created by, I think, the intelligence agencies, which around the world have been intervening in elections. We see this even in the European election. The first ballot, they say the conservatives did very well. The second ballot, the left surged and the left wins the second ballot. Well, I call up here and say, is the left surging at the polls? No, Dr. Corsi. There's nobody at the polls. The surge is occurring in the computers. These schemes are used by intelligence agencies around the world. It's not just in the United States.
your organization, God's Five Stones, and people could check it out at godsfivestones.com, has taken on the mantle of exposing election fraud. Some might say that claims like these can erode public trust in the electoral system. What do you say to critics who argue that spreading unproven allegations without conclusive evidence is dangerous and could even potentially undermine democracy?
Well, we have conclusive evidence. Just take a look at the algorithms. We show you, Andrew Paquette shows you the exact number schemes by which the voter ID numbers are assigned. And he shows you the number of clones and the number of fraudulent records, people who have a registration date before they were born. There are thousands of these in the databases of almost every state, which shouldn't be there. These are not the records that they normally cleanse, which are the records of people who are dead or people who have moved. These are people who are non-existent voters that were created by the fraudsters when the algorithms were placed in the database. And I think it involves an intelligence agency level of operation. I think the CIA has decided, and the NSA, National Security Agency, the intelligence agencies, the Five Eyes around the world have decided they're going to now run our elections. And the algorithms are the way they're doing it. The mail-in fraud is the key of their vehicle for getting this fraud perpetrated.
So obviously we're talking potentially about problems not just with the 2020 election, but the 2024 election. If the issues you're describing are as widespread as you claim, why haven't federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency confirmed these vulnerabilities? Are they part of the broader intelligence operation that you're describing?
Well, the federal government has now become very politically oriented. The Department of Justice thinks the main problem is, Catholics who like the Latin Mass. They're very politically oriented. And so, I've documented many things over the years. 2011, I caught HSBC Bank laundering billions of dollars for the drug cartels. They were fined $1 billion. And the Senate Permanent Investigating Committee wrote a several hundred-page report saying that HSBC was laundering money for the drug cartels in Mexico. Well, the CIA was part of that, and so was the Department of Treasury. We monitor every wire transfer in the United States and worldwide. This was a scheme that was known. In fact, I think it was participated in by the intelligence agencies. TD Bank just got fined $3 billion and had to admit participation in the drug cartels. You can't run a drug cartel without a bank. Things I investigate, people don't want known. The government doesn't want known. But I'm investigating things and proving them that are still true.
Finally, sir, I was just talking about Mayor Giuliani and losing his home and having this $148 million defamation judgment against him. If your claims ultimately are proven to be false or unsubstantiated, do you think there should be consequences for spreading these type of allegations, given the potential damage that they could cause to public faith in the electoral process?
Well, Giuliani was questioning a certified election. I'm not saying any given election was fraudulent. I'm saying that we found these algorithms. Why are they there? Who put them there? And have they been used? I'm asking questions. I'm not making allegations that a particular election was fraudulent or lost. I'm asking in the future. And so, therefore, that's a legitimate question. You can raise questions about future elections. I'm not questioning one that had been certified by boards of supervisors. I think that's been the problem with many lawsuits that have been filed in the past. Instead of looking to the past, I'm looking to the present and the future. And I want these algorithms identified, I want them verified, and I want to know why they're there.
Dr. Jerome Corsi, if people want to learn more about what you're doing, they can check out godsfivestones.com. They can also check out your website, thetruthcentral.com. Thank you, Dr. Corsi. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you want to comment on any portion of our discussion, you're welcome to give me a call at 646-720-0635. That's 646-720-0635. This is The Other Side of Midnight. Straight ahead.